guys, how y'all doing today? It's February the 8th, 2024, and today I'm going to talk about ascites. I've been getting a lot of questions lately about ascites. There's been a lot of people been asking questions like, I wonder if I have ascites. I feel a bit bloated. Do I have ascites? I feel like there's water in my stomach. So I want to talk about that today. I've made a video about it in the past, but some of these videos I am gonna repeat. When I started doing the channel, I had the recorder turned another way, and it was just the beginning of me recording these videos. So some of them weren't the best. So I figured like some videos like this one would just be a good one to remake again, especially for people that are new to the channel. I don't want them to have to continue to keep going back and looking for those videos. So some videos will be repeats like today. But there's some stuff to add to today's video that I didn't have in the initial one before. So it'll be a little bit different. But before I get into that, I do want to talk about yesterday I said, well, the day before I said that I was going to go to the screen print shop this week. And yesterday, in between doing some things, I had my dentist appointment yesterday afternoon. They called me yesterday and they said, hey, sorry, but we're going to have to push you back another 30 minutes. So I had half an hour to kill and nothing to do, so I decided to go ahead and stop by the screen print place yesterday and spoke with them. Got all of my stuff to them, gave them the images and all that kind of stuff. So that is all good to go now. It's just a matter of time for me just to get my website finished being developed. But they did go ahead and make me a hat, and I'll have that in tomorrow's video. I'll have the cups. I did talk to them about doing t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, sweatshirts, and hoodies as well. I'm gonna have all that stuff. I'll have a t-shirt to show you guys tomorrow and the hat, and I'll bring the cup out again tomorrow and show you guys just a quick little glance of it. But once I finish getting the website all done, I'll have all that stuff up on the website. The link will be in the YouTube video. But I have to get all that finished up first. As soon as I do, I just don't have any other way to accept payment or anything like that. So once I get the website done, I'll let you guys know. It should be in the next couple of days. It looks like if you place an order, you're probably looking at a 2-day delay, and then I'll ship it to you. They're gonna print off the shirts to order for me. So if you place an order, I have to have at least 12 orders to place an order with them. So once I get the website up, I'll let you guys know, and I'm sure it won't be a problem. But if it is, I'll just go ahead and purchase a couple just to get the initial order done. I'll have all the different colors that you guys can pick from on the website. So you can pick your color, and then it'll have the design on it. The hoodies I'm gonna do a little bit different than the shirts, but there'll be a logo on the back, a big logo on the back, and then a small one right on the front. And then there's gonna be a little something on the sleeve on the hoodies. I might put on the sleeve of the long sleeve shirt. I'm not quite sure yet, but I'll show you guys all that stuff, and there'll be pictures up on the website and all that for you guys. But we're looking at just a couple of days, and I'll be ready to go. I just got to get that website finished and developed and get the pictures up on there with all the merch and stuff. So in just a few days, guys, I'll have all that stuff ready for you, and you'll be able to place orders. And like I said, it'll just be like a 2-day delay. It might not even take that long. As soon as they're ready, I'll run right down to the place, pick them up, and I'll ship them myself. So be on the lookout for that. But anyway, so let's go ahead and hop into today's video and start talking about ascites. For any of you guys out there who have dealt with ascites, man, I'm so sorry for you. I've dealt with ascites. I've had ascites multiple times, and I was able to get the fluid off of my stomach. Ascites is horrible. It's probably, I'd have to say, the worst part about this condition. And there's a lot of bad things that come along with this. And in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, The ascites was by far the worst part of it all. Luckily, right now, I'm not suffering from ascites. I'll get into the reason why I'm not suffering from ascites right now in just a minute. But I kind of want to talk about what ascites is, what it comes from, and like how a doctor is going to figure it out. Ascites is a buildup of fluid in your abdominal cavity. It comes from when you're. I did a little bit of research for this video and watched a couple other videos about this, and picked up on one where they were talking about. They said, think of your liver like a sponge, a healthy liver. The blood flows through it just fine, and your liver filters your blood. Your liver actually has 500 functions, believe it or not. So when your liver isn't healthy, a lot of things go wrong in your body. But like they were saying, is think of your liver like a sponge, and when the sponge is clean and it's wet, the fluid's gonna flow through it just fine. It's gonna have a little bit of resistance, but not a whole lot. When the liver starts to get scarring on it or fibrosis, at that point it starts to turn into almost like a rock. Think of it as like a wet sponge versus like a dry sponge. I guess you could imagine it that way. A wet sponge, after you pick it up and you go to clean your dishes with it, you can wring the water right out of it. If you get it wet again, it soaks it right up. If you take a really dry sponge and you put it underneath the sink, it's really not going to absorb a lot of fluid. Not right off the bat. It's going to take a minute to get that in there. So think of like a really dried sponge compared to a wet sponge as far as your liver is concerned. And what's happening is that blood's trying to flow through your liver and be filtered through it. But if you do in fact have cirrhosis or fibrosis of the liver, that blood's not able to flow through there as easily anymore. So what ends up happening is there's a buildup of pressure. Because all that blood from all these different organs is trying to come through that through the portal vein into the liver, and there's a backup. So what you end up getting is portal hypertension. So it's high blood pressure of the portal vein, because your liver just not able to let that fluid pass through there at the proper speed or amount. So what ends up happening is fluid starts to leach into your belly, and when that fluid starts to leach into the belly from the liver, that buildup of fluid is what's called ascites. And as that fluid starts to retain, it can really start to get, like, your stomach can get very enlarged, and it can create a host of problems for you. A lot of people end up getting hernias because of ascites, because there's so much pressure on that abdominal wall from pushing. It can tear those stomach muscles, those abdominal muscles open. I know that happened with me. I actually have 2 hernias, and I haven't had surgery on them yet. You can't really tell anymore because I've lost so much weight, and the water's gone all the way down. But when I had a lot of water on my stomach, it would push so hard on my belly that hernia would protrude, and it would literally poke out the length of my finger out of my stomach. And it was really embarrassing for me, especially going out in public. It didn't matter if I wore a really big shirt or not. You could still see it poking out of the front of my shirt, and it just really embarrassed me a lot. Which is, I mean, we're all vain to some extent, and to have something like that, you think everybody's looking at you, but trust me, nobody cares. I remember going to the hospital one time at MUSC, and I remember walking in the hospital, and I was going to go see a liver specialist, and I had ascites so bad. And I was so embarrassed to walk in there, and I remember I just felt like everybody was looking at me. But once I started looking around, I realized nobody was paying any attention to me at all. No one even cared. Everybody's going on about their day-to-day life, and nobody really cares what's going on with you. Everybody's so focused on themselves, but you get self-conscious, and I was really self-conscious about it. But as time went on, I still dealt with being self-conscious with it, but I got more comfortable with it as time progressed. But it still doesn't make it any more comfortable for you. The thing with the ascites is that it can start to fill up your stomach so much that it'll start to push up and push on your lungs, and you can get a bunch of fluid up in around your lung area, and it can really make it really hard to breathe. When that happens, that's called hepatic hydrothorax. Is a difficulty of breathing from the ascites. Also, not to mention that fluid, when it starts building up in there, that fluid is at high risk to get infected as well. Which at one point when I was hospitalized in Columbia, South Carolina, I had ascites really bad during that period of time, and I ended up going septic. The fluid inside of my belly had gone septic on me. And what ended up happening was they ended up doing paracentesis and draining that fluid off, which I'm going to go into here in just a second. And they pulled a few liters of fluid out of my belly. And then what they did is they ended up testing that fluid and found out that the fluid was infected. And then after that, they're like, no more doing this anymore, because the thing with paracentesis is that it runs a very high risk of infection. Paracentesis is the method of them. I'm going to go in now into what they can do about ascites, but paracentesis is the method where they make a small incision in your side, right on the side of your stomach, and then they take a needle and they insert it into there, and then they put like a, a glass container on the floor, and they just run a rubber tube down into that glass container, and they just drain the fluid off. And I remember looking down at the floor when they were doing it, and the fluid came out. It looked like urine, to be quite honest with you. It was like a straw-colored liquid that was coming out of my belly. But they did drain quite a bit of it off. But once they found out that I was septic, they were like, we're not doing this anymore. And then after that, I had asked my doctor multiple times, because I was so uncomfortable and could not breathe. I begged him to please because they have to write an order for you, I guess, to go to the hospital, because they won't do it in the doctor's office. Well, at least at my GI doctor's office, they won't do it. They really want to make sure they're in a really sterile environment when they're doing that. So a lot of times they want you to go to a hospital to do so. But he absolutely refused, said we're not doing that. We're gonna wait this out, and we're gonna keep on the medications and see if those work for you. So whenever you go to the doctor's office and they think that you might have ascites, or you think that you might have ascites, and you go, the doctor's going to have you lay down on the examining table, and he's going to take like his 2 fingers, and then he's going to like put them on your belly, and he's just going to tap on them like that across your stomach. And what they're doing, I guess, is they're listening to hear how hollow your stomach sounds. Sorry, I see some work trucks over here at my neighbor's house. I don't know if they're coming up here or not, but anyway, they'll tap on around your stomach, and I guess to listen to how hollow it is inside of your belly, and I guess that determines to them or not if you have ascites, but it's pretty easy to tell. I remember when I had ascites really bad, if I laid down in the bed, I could like jiggle my belly around, and you could like literally feel the water like swishing around inside of there. The thing with it is you can tell it's not fat, because you're getting this like really, it gets like really tight on your stomach, like coming out like that. So it's like really hard. It's not like belly fat, to where it's like more jiggly. It's up underneath of that muscle. So when it gets underneath of there, it feels really hard. So when the doctor's going around and like tapping on your belly, it'll make like a really hollow, like thump, like almost like a drum sound when they're doing it. It's not like belly fat. If you were to tap on your stomach, if you have belly fat, it would just kind of make like a smack noise. You know, like if you clapped your hands, that's what's going to sound like on your belly. But when the doctor's doing it, when they're tapping on your stomach, when you have ascites, it makes a really hollow sound as they're doing it. And you can tell that cavity is full of fluid, and it's just really open in there because it's pushing up against that abdominal wall. There's a couple things that they can do for it. They can start you on some medications, which it seems like they do a majority of the time. They can put you on LiQWYD, which is fluorescimide. I hope I'm pronouncing these correctly. And they can put you on a diuretic called spironolactone. I've been prescribed both of those. I will go ahead and tell you, they don't like to keep you on the LiQWYD for too terribly long. They'll start you on those for just a little bit. At least that's what they did with me. I was on those for maybe 2 months, and then they took me right off of those, and then they just kept me on the spironolactone. Now, I was taking like 50 milligrams of the spironolactone every single day, and then once the water started to dissipate a little bit, they told me to cut my pills in half, and I was taking those every single day, and I will tell you, you're gonna be peeing a lot. When they tell you to go on those medications, make sure that you're gonna be somewhere that's near a bathroom when you're on that medication. And if you have somewhere you need to be that morning, like let's say that you've got a doctor's appointment in the morning, hold off on taking that until you've gone to your doctor's appointment. Just trust me, take it when you get home, because it really does make you pee a lot, and it's like you have to go. There's like no holding it. You get so much pressure in your bladder because you have to pee so bad. I would definitely I always held off whenever I had a doctor's appointment in the morning. I would just take it as soon as I got home, because I did not want to have to pee like that. One of my doctor's offices is like an hour away. We had to drive all the way over there. Then I had to sit and wait, and then another hour ride back. I just didn't want to have to deal with that on the way. So just a warning, I would definitely make sure that you just hold off. But every day I would definitely get up in the morning and take it like you should. But I mean, this is just what I did. So, you know, don't take what I'm saying as gospel or anything. I mean, this is just some advice. I've already talked about the paracentesis. That's another one of the things they can do. Another thing they will tell you to do as well is to drink no more than 2 liters of fluid every single day. And one of the biggest things they want you to do is to lower your salt intake to 1,000 milligrams of sodium per day. And when you start looking at your food products, this is when you're going to get into, you do not want to eat anything processed. Do not eat processed foods. You are going to ruin your sodium intake immediately. Once you start paying attention to sodium in foods, even in sodas and things like that, you're going to be blown away. Sodium is in every single thing we eat almost, especially processed foods. So definitely steer clear of that stuff. You really want to stick to the outside edges of the grocery store when you have ascites. I mean, in general, you really should, but definitely when you have ascites going on, stick to the outer edges of the grocery store. It's where you're going to find your raw meats. You're going to find your fresh fruits and vegetables, your fresh dairy products if you're eating dairy or whatnot. But and I wouldn't suggest eating dairy during that period of time either. Dairy can cause bloating. You're already going to be so bloated as it is with the fluid that's in your stomach. You're going to want to really be careful about eating anything that's going to be real gaseous. So if something like cabbage or broccoli or something like that causes you problems, stay away from that stuff right now, please. You're going to cause yourself a lot of problems in the long end, because that stuff's going to add so much more pressure that you already have on top of it. You do not want to deal with that. And another thing I'll suggest too is eat small meals. Don't sit down and eat a big meal, because like I said, you've already got all this fluid in your belly, and it's already causing all this pressure on you to begin with. You don't want to eat a big meal, and after you've eaten a big meal, you just feel so full and your belly's all tight. You already feel like that 24/7 to begin with, and you don't want to add a really big meal on top of that. Eat a bunch of small meals throughout the day, but make sure you eat. That was one of my biggest struggles when I was dealing with ascites. I still suffer from nausea, chronic nausea. I have it all day long. I've been nauseous all morning today. I just took my nausea medication just a little bit ago. That stuff makes me very sleepy. But like I'm saying, you want to make sure that you're getting the proper nutrients and vitamins and all that stuff. Like I said, I didn't do a very good job of that, and that's one of the reasons I'm dealing with the teeth problems, the dental issues that I'm having right now, is because every time I would go to the doctor, they would tell me, they would do my blood work and they would say I was malnutrition, but I just could not get the food down. Like I said, I was always nauseous, and then on top of it, I just didn't feel good. And then I felt so gross because I was so bloated that eating anything was just so hard for me to do. So I would really suggest eating a bunch of small meals and make sure that they don't have salt in them. The salt is what really causes problems. That sodium can stay in your body for a very long time. I was just listening to a podcast yesterday, and I think it was Andrew Huberman that was talking about it, but they were talking about sodium and like how long it stays in your body, and it blew me away. They were saying that like if you went out and had like pizza or something, like on a Friday night, somebody like my age right now would still have those sodium levels like 4 days later after consuming a big meal like that. It takes that long for the kidneys to get the sodium out of the body. And I think that one of those medications actually helps with the kidneys to deplete that sodium. I'm not completely sure, but they were saying that once that sodium gets in, it takes a really long time, and especially if you have ascites like that, it's going to be even harder for your body to excrete that sodium. So just don't take it in to begin with, because you're going to regret it later on down the road if you keep getting more and more fluid on your stomach. You really want to stop it in its tracks right now. I've already talked about this. I've already talked about that. So I've talked about in the past too that getting up and moving around really helped me out to help get the fluid off of my stomach. I know how hard it can be when you're in the middle of ascites because you're just so uncomfortable. I mean, I remember I couldn't even tie my shoes. I couldn't even get my shoes on by myself because the fluid was so big in my belly that I just couldn't bend over to do it. Just getting up and moving around and just trying to get your blood flowing just a little bit really does help to get that ascites off your belly. And like I said, I remember standing in the kitchen with one hand on the counter, holding myself up while I tried to do things in there because I was just so tired. My back hurt so bad because of all the weight from the water that was on my stomach. I feel really bad for pregnant women now because I wasn't pregnant, but my belly looked like I was 9 months pregnant, and I carried that fluid around for a very long time, and I have a feeling that's probably what it feels like to be pregnant like that, to have that much weight on your belly like that, and it really destroys your lower back. So my hat's off to you ladies who have had children, because I can't imagine carrying that around for 9 months like that, but I'm telling you, it's horrible. I know it is. It's one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever dealt with in my entire life. But I can tell you this much: there is hope. The fluid can come off, and if you work with your doctor and you follow what he tells you to do, and like I've said in this video, decrease your sodium. Don't drink more than 2 liters of fluid every single day. Make sure that you're not eating processed foods. You really want to make sure that you're drinking water instead of like soda and stuff like that. I mean, you only have 2 liters of fluid that you're really allotted to drink every single day, so make it count and drink water when you're doing so. And like I said, you're going to be on diuretics and Lasix, so you're going to want to make sure that you're hydrating yourself back. Even though you're going to be pushing a lot of fluid out, you still want to be bringing fluid back in. You don't want to dehydrate yourself. But with that said, guys, if any of you guys are out there suffering with ascites, I'm so sorry for you. I know exactly where you're coming from. I know how horrible it is. But like I said, have faith. It does get better. And I'm living proof. I do not have ascites anymore, and I promise you. I just asked my wife the other day if anybody had some pictures of me when I was in the middle of ascites like that, and I think that she took some when I was in the hospital with my kids. Of course, I was laying in a bed, but I might be able to blur their faces out so I can post an image up of that. There might be some images laying around somewhere. I'm gonna ask my family if anybody knows of anything that I could post up to show you guys, but I do not have the ascites anymore. It's been gone. Now, the one thing I forgot to talk about too today, and I just saw it on here, is there's one more thing they can do that really helped me, and that's the TIPS procedure. And the TIPS procedure basically bypasses the liver. It bypasses the blood flow and sends it back to the heart. So there's not so much blood flowing into the liver anymore they steer the course, and so there's less blood flowing through the liver, which decreases that pressure, which also helps those varices that end up, because of the portal hypertension, those veins end up getting so much pressure on them, they start to get large, which can lead to them bursting, which is why a lot of people end up with esophageal varices bleeding. But when they do that TIPS procedure, it relieves that pressure, and when that pressure gets relieved, then that water stops leaching into the belly, and it also decreases the portal hypertension, which just starts to alleviate a lot of problems. I can't suggest a TIPS procedure more if you're dealing with ascites. If you are and your doctor hasn't talked to you about one yet, talk to your doctor about a TIPS. Now, not every hospital out there does one, but I promise you a TIPS procedure is by far the best thing that's ever happened to me since I've been sick. All they do is they just go through, I've got some scars here on my neck. I don't know if you can see them on camera. I think that's one of them right there, and there's a couple more right here, because they did 2 procedures on me. But they go in through your neck, they go in through your liver, and they go in through your groin, and also through your belly button. But they go through the vessels, and they use like long wires to go through there, and they place a stent, and then they place like a wire mesh stent in there, and then they open it up and they check the flow and make sure that the proper blood flow is going through there before they finish up. But it really does help. My recovery time was a little bit longer because they had to do some other things when I had mine done, and it was a little bit more in depth. I was in surgery for like 8.5 hours or something like that the second time that they did it. But from what I understand, a normal person that goes in there, if you have no problems, TIPS procedure should take somewhere between 2 to 4 hours, and you should be able to go home the next day. All they tell you is just don't do anything strenuous for like 10 days. Don't lift anything heavy for 10 days, more than 5 pounds, and then you're pretty much solid after that. Now, all you have to do is like every 3 months you have to go and they do an MRI with contrast, and they check that blood flow and see if there's still flow. And as long as everything's looking good, then you're solid, and then you just have to continually keep going back every so often. It's every 3 months or every 6 months. You'll eventually get to a point where you do have to continue to go every 6 months, and you'll probably be on blood thinners too if that's the case. But you'll have to go every 6 months and towards the end of it, and they'll just continue to keep checking that, because those stents can get blocked up rather easily from what I understand. But I also understand that it's easy for them to clear those back out if they catch it on time. So with all that said, guys, I have gone on and on here. I'm going to go ahead and get off. This is a little bit longer of a video than I plan on making today. Thank you so much if you stuck all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. We are almost at 3,000 subscribers as of right before I started making this video. I think we're like 6 away from 3,000. So awesome, guys. Thank you so much, everybody that's joined the channel recently. I really appreciate it. You guys are so awesome. I just started this channel really about 3 months ago, and it's just blown up. And I'd never imagined this was going to happen. This has just grown organically, and it's the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. I appreciate all of you all so much. I love you guys more than anything. I mean, I can't explain it to you. You guys help me out so much. I love talking with you all. This is an awesome experience. So with that said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off of here. By the way, Veronica, I just saw in the comments today that her doctors told her that she's looking a lot better now. So congratulations, Veronica. If you guys can go check her out in the comments, let her know congratulations. She's she's been through some things here lately, and it's great to hear that she's doing better. So congratulations, Veronica. That's great. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna get out of here today. I love you all, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.